Have you ever gotten stuck trying to write a short story? I know the feeling. I've written nonfiction for years for different health-related publications, but fiction was always more difficult. After challenging myself to write 35 short stories in 35 days, I had an aha moment and created the Tilt Fiction Writing Method. You can learn about it in the video I've linked below. Today I'm going to teach you how to come up with several story ideas and write a micro story in 10 minutes or less. Hi, I'm Rachel and I've been writing, reading, journaling, and teaching for over 50 years. Let's get started with our story spark for today, which is based on the prompt, Finish the Story. For today's prompt, I usually read part of a story and then we finish it, but sometimes a story can be one word. I received this in the mail yesterday and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to finish this story? Today we're going to finish the story of what happens when we follow the directions on this envelope. So our first word today is going to be open. Our sensory word for today is the sense of smell. So I have 6 sense of smell words on these cards. And since we have a finish the story prompt today, I have my little alphabet letters here. I'm going to pick one out of the box. And the one that I picked today is the letter H. Our sense of smell word for the day is toast. So think about the smell of toast. Think about how it smells when you're toasting it in your toaster or your air fryer. Sometimes it can have that slightly burned scent to it. So we have the smell of toast. Let's write this down here. So let's build out some story ideas based on these 2 words. We have open and toast. So let's say that you open your front door and you smell toast and you wonder what's for dinner because you were expecting a romantic evening, not breakfast. Well, it turns out another possibility could be you arrive home and you open your front door and you smell toast and you frown because you know you put the toaster away when you used it 3 days ago. So where is that smell coming from? You venture into the kitchen and ... You could take another approach where you have your character, let's say your character's name is Mimi. Mimi woke up in a strange bedroom. She didn't recognize anything. But when she opened her eyes, she smelled one thing. She remembered toast made the way only one person could, just slightly burned in that level 4 kind of way. You could take the story in another direction, and let's say you're going to have a character, and this character is going to be named Kenny. Kenny was at the campground. He'd already opened the bag of marshmallows, and now it was time to toast them. You can already imagine the smell of the melting sugar, just slightly burned when the fire suddenly flickered out. And then dot dot dot. There you have it. There's 4 ideas for stories you could write using our words open and toast. I want to remind you that with our tilt writing method, you are welcome to add the unexpected into your stories, and the unexpected could include magical elements, mystical elements, unexplained elements. You're also welcome to include that could never happen elements. And the purpose of these permissions that tilt fiction writing on its side just slightly is to give you the freedom to keep writing. We want the flow to continue. We want the story to finish in 10 minutes or less. So feel free to invoke these permissions and tilt the story on its side when you're ready to do so. This concludes part 1. Now let's move into part 2, which is writing the story. When I write the story, I start with the character, then I move to what the character wants, introduce the story tilt, the resolution, and the last word. My hourglass times for about 4.5 minutes, so if you see it finish slightly earlier than I do, that's the reason why. I'm going to recap my purple marker, ring the bell, and I am going to get started by introducing my character. And then we'll move on with the story that includes open and toast. I'm starting my story with a character. I'm going to call her Heidi. Heidi says, I opened the door to the diner. All I really wanted was a cup of black coffee and a burnt piece of toast. It was my hangover cure. No other like it for me, personally. My friend, Hans, winked at me when I walked in, noticing how I grimaced when the diner bell rang. One too many toast last night, he quipped. And I held my hands over my ears to stop the ringing. He was referring to the meeting at our Master Toasters Club. It was a group of us who had started a club where we would get together and practice making toasts while, of course, drinking the champagne and other beverages that came along with it. You can imagine it kind of like a book club, but with a toast. Haha, I mean, a twist. I grabbed the toast he handed me to Hans. I said, for the best toast ever. That night, I'd been hired to give the toast at a party, and I was ready to go. I'd met with the couple celebrating their anniversary, and they asked for something unconventional, not the same old toast, they said. Surprise us, they said. And so, inspired by my toast to Hans that morning. I'd asked my engineering friend, Billie Jean, to help me set up a elaborate series of toasters, which would be ready to pop up different slices of toast as I read through my speech. This would be flipping the hourglass, and amazing and quite unusual take on toasting. And I was quite sure that this would earn me the next level of master toaster in my group. We set up before the guests arrived. The toasters were placed perfectly hidden around the room. We had them set precisely to land at each table. My assistant would slyly slip in with little baskets of jam and butter. The room would be filled with the warmth of buttery toast and delight. It would be a performance the guests would never forget. I started my toast. The first popped. The guest slightly, but happily surprised. A small chuckle. The second, third, fourth in succession. It was going well. But then, the first, but I'm on keto. And then the hostess. But is this gluten free? The room went silent, except for the sound of the last few popping toasts. And that's the end of my story today. I know it looks like there's still time in my hourglass, but that's because I forgot to start it when I started writing this story. If you're riding along with me and you're in a good flow, I encourage you to keep going. You'll find a study guide in the description below. I will also create a YouTube short that will include some other ideas based on today's Story Spark. I would love you to join me again tomorrow. I'll be posting a new writing session every weekday, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow's prompt on Wednesday is Roll the Dice. If you enjoyed writing with me today, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and I will see you again soon.